Good evening. This is the book Omori Sogen, The Art of a Zen Master. Omori Sogen is the great master who transmitted our lineage to the West. He's now passed away. His primary heir, Hosokawa Dogen Roshi, is one of my main teachers who did a lot of the work of establishing our lineage in the West. So Omori Sogen, very important Zen master, called the greatest Rinzai master of the 20th century, Japanese Rinzai Zen master. This book is hard to find on Amazon, but Chozenji in Hawaii, temple in Hawaii, I think sells it on their website. You might be able to get it. I recommend you get it because it's not only a biography of Omori Roshi written by Hosokawa Roshi, but it also contains teachings from Omori Roshi, Teisho, dharma talks that he gave. You should have this book. This book and the book that Omori Roshi himself authored, Introduction to Zen Training, are two books that you should have. So I'd just like to read to you from this one. Omori Roshi is talking about satori. Satori means awakening. It's the term is pretty much interchangeable with kensho, to see your nature. Satori means to realize or to understand. Zen is not merely entering zazen samadhi, in other words, the meditative absorption of seated meditation, and sitting like a frog. In the end, it is what is called gyoe enmyo. Gyo is the samadhi that emerges from prajna wisdom. In other words, the meditative absorption, or the state of meditative absorption that we call samadhi, that arises from or in unity with the wisdom of awakening, is the true samadhi. At this point, you can find in the platform sutra of the sixth patriarch. The development of prajna wisdom, prajna is the wisdom of enlightenment or awakening, is the goal of Zen, not sitting in meditation for its own sake or going into a meditative trance-like state. Certainly that is not the goal of Zen. The goal is the wisdom which liberates. If you develop the prajna wisdom, you will be able to see things clearly. What is called shoken, correct and true seeing, will emerge. Even in the Rinzai Roku, the record of the great master Rinzai, shinsho no kenge, the correct and true seeing, is frequently stressed. The attainment of correct and true seeing is the objective of Zen. With this kind of correct insight, we will be able to make decisions and choices. Without it, it is easy to confuse the correct and the incorrect. Especially during these turbulent times, we must be able to see clearly the realities of our environments, our societies, our civilizations. That is our duty. Okay, so this is a very simple point, but it bears frequent repeating, especially those of you that are immersed in this kind of training, that the purpose of Zen is not to go into a meditative state for the sake of that alone. The purpose of Zen, although you may not believe this after attending sesshin, the purpose of Zen is not zazen. You're doing a lot of zazen. It's not what Zen is. This seated meditation, which you're doing, is just a tool. The tool, of course, is to stabilize the body and mind, start to work with the habits that are revealed within this body-mind, everything from the stuff that bubbles up emotionally and mentally to the armoring or tension that you experience in your bodies, all of that stuff that you're struggling with. The way that fatigue comes up and you have to learn to reestablish clarity and burn through cloudiness, all of that. That's part of it. But to what end? To what end do we try to establish a state of meditative absorption and stability and clarity and work with all of those patterns? The only point is to have the sudden and clear awakening to the wisdom that liberates us. And then, in unity with that meditative clarity or absorption, stability, what we call samadhi, that you have cultivated, you can then use that wisdom. You can embody it. You can sustain it in the midst of your activities. You can live from it. We say you can undertake the long training, lifelong training, to have all the activities of your body, speech, and mind in accord with that wisdom, flowing out from it. If you accomplish that completely, we say that you are Buddha. You're no different than a Buddha. You are a Buddha. So I would like to remind you of this, especially beginners, because you're struggling with the practice, very profound practice, of susokan, breath counting, for example. Or some of you are working on the koan method, and you're striving to become one with your method, and you start to have moments, especially now, day 5 of sesshin, where something may be starting to come to a little bit of fruition. You may start to experience, if you never have before, some brief moments of clarity, for example. You may notice your body's changing and shifting, things are releasing. Your breath maybe has changed or sunk down. The quality of your mind and your awareness has changed. Maybe you notice that, some of you have reported that you're sleepy, but you're not fatigued in an odd way. You're still able to function, you're still clear, even though you know you're tired. And the chanting, quality of the chanting changes in the morning. The quality of the meal starts to change. The sound of the bell when you strike it to come to Dokusan starts to change. There's change, there's transformation. But none of that means anything if it's not directed along the path to have that liberative arising of knowledge, that recognition of prajna, wisdom, not different from what the Buddha realized. So how to do that? First is, again, examine your motivation and your aspiration for entering the training. Why did you come? And it doesn't have to be a profound Buddhist reason. I will always talk about the aspiration of the Bodhisattva vows to recognize the suffering of all beings as well as one's own, and to give rise to the aspiration to want to help, to make oneself of value to others. That's what we call Bodaishin or Bodhicitta, the arising of that aspiration or motivation. But in the beginning, it doesn't have to be so profound. It can be simple. But you have to understand clearly why you came. You have to have your own clear answer. You have to have a clear starting point. Why am I here? What am I really looking for? You try to define that to yourself. Even if it's nothing more clear than, I'm miserable and I want to change that. Or, I don't know what I am or what life is for. I like to know. That's enough. If you have some questioning, basic human questioning, it doesn't have to be Buddhist questioning, but just a simple existential questioning, the questions of meaning, of existence, the why, the big why, or what is this question. That's enough. That's enough foundation to then enter into the practice and start to cultivate the meditative absorption and start to look at, again, all those patterns of body or of the body-mind. Start to challenge them, dissolve them, peel off the onion layers of your existence and see what's there. Okay, but again, all of that has to be rightfully directed. Ultimately, the aspiration, your motivation has to deepen, become more profound, and be directed towards what we call the Bodhisattva path, the path of wanting to actually be liberated from our habitual delusion. Not just to see more clearly, not just to arrive at some conceptual answer of what the universe is or what a human being is, but to know in your bones what I am, what this is. if you don't, in other words, settle for a lesser result or a lesser aspiration, you don't rest satisfied with, oh, I feel better now that I do Zen a little bit every day. That's good. Or, oh, I seem to be more clear, more calm. That's good. That's a good enough reason. Those are wonderful benefits. You will have those kinds of common benefits. But I want you to be open to keeping your sights set on the more profound direction. To actually know what the universe is and why. What I am. What is this? Who is this that mysteriously is hearing, seeing, tasting, touching, experiencing, thinking? What am I? The original question that's behind all spirituality, all religion. You can arrive at the answer to that, as the Buddha did. So again, to give rise to the state of meditative absorption or that kind of stability and clarity that starts to arise in your practice that you may be starting to experience now, it's wonderful. But I want you not to forget that our training is about more than just that. All the sort of suffering you're experiencing at sesshin as you work hard and deal with fatigue and pain and so on, it's not just for those sort of common benefits that you may start to experience now. All the great masters of the past, from the Buddha onward, did not sweat blood and work so hard for us, just so that we could sit on cushions like frogs and start to become a little more clear. There's something more profound going on here, I want you to understand. But that being said, you start to experience those sort of common benefits more clear, more stable, starting to see my own patterns, starting to peel the onion layers away and see a little bit more about myself and why I am the way I am and so on. That is the foundation, that is part of the path. You're on the path, you're walking it. I just want you to keep your eyes up, directed to a more, most profound direction. The main point I wanted to talk about, however, is a little bit of practical advice. Omori Roshi. How to train while engaging in work, which is to say how to train in your daily life, because you're going to leave here in 2 days, most of you. Some of you cannot, most of you will. Studying oneself is one's great work in life. It's a fundamental necessity. If a person seriously considers it, he should quit his job and, just as the Buddha and other well-known priests of old did, train intently. It is also what I should have done, but since I had no intention to do so, I had to train while engaged in work. Omori Roshi didn't become a priest till late in life. He was in his 40s. He was born in 1904, became a priest in 1945. Presently, most of the people who have devoted themselves to Zen training, like some of you, are people who are working in society. You're not monks or nuns. In that case, they should make time to sit morning and evening. They should go to Zen groups where they will be encouraged to try harder and broaden their spiritual knowledge. I think that these are the normal means available to lay people. And he goes on to talk about how much we should sit every day. When I was a layperson, I was told I should meditate for 4 hours a day. That was not an easy thing. Because of the nature of my job, I had more free time than most people, but I also had my students to take care of and my wife and children to support. It was almost impossible to devote 4 hours a day to meditation. Though I tried my best, I could only manage 3 hours a day. For those who have their own business, for example, even 3 hours must be difficult. I think that for those who are busy with many activities, it is necessary to get up a little earlier and go to sleep a little later and do 30 minutes of zazen morning and evening, at least. We can all do that. There's no one who cannot do that. I must say that those who cannot even sit for 30 minutes morning and evening do not have the necessary desire to do zazen. Those who have a serious desire will abandon everything and earnestly sit for 2 hours a day. But if you cannot, 30 minutes morning, 30 minutes evening, even if it means you sleep a little less morning and evening, the benefit will be more than worth it. And in addition, also, utilizing even short intervals while driving a car or riding in a train, while walking, while waiting for someone, they, people who are serious, will regulate their breathing, put their strength into the tanden, the navel energetic center, tighten their anus, that's a particular way of breathing he's talking about that we learn, and concentrate on the koan. Or, if you're not doing koan, do the breath counting. Those who do this will develop great strength. You must throw your mind and body into your work. When you deal with another person, become one with that person. When you read a book, go into the book. This is what it means. You must become one with whatever you are doing. In the monastery, there is samu, you've been doing every day. Work practice or work training, cultivating the vegetable garden, cleaning the garden, and so on. If you can think of your work as samu, then you can enter samadhi completely. I'm paraphrasing him, but that's what he says. People think that sitting is munen muso, no thought, to have no thoughts, or kaku jaku jaku, the state of quiet emptiness, and that they should feel nice and peaceful. But they're making a big mistake. Suzuki Shozan, a famous priest in the 17th century, has said, if you're going to do meditation with no ki, no energy, no vitality, in a static, dead manner, it would be far better to sing utai, which is a text from no theater. In other words, just sing. It'd be like, maybe today we could say, it'd be better to sing a Broadway tune with all of your heart than to do zazen. Hakuin Zenji also said that dead sitting, if you sit in a dead, quietistic, static manner with no vitality, no great aspiration of wanting to get to the bottom of your existence, or for small selfish reasons, it would be much better to go to a gambling hall, because at least there's energy. Go there, throw dice. I'm thinking of a Yakuza gambling hall like we see in samurai movies, you know? Oh! But at least there's activity and there's energy and everyone's completely focused and in it. That's meditation, more so than some people who sit like this. So anyway, it's a wonderful book. Those few paragraphs struck me tonight, but how to practice in daily life is the point. You have to make the foundation of it, again, your aspiration, your motivation, which even if it's shallow does not mean wrong. Shallow just means could be more deep. But at beginning, for all of us, it's shallow. Even if it's shallow, even if it's focused on oneself, that's fine. You start with that, and you start with putting the instructions for practice into practice in some basic manner. Omori Roshi said at least 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, sit zazen. And then the rest of your day, you throw yourself completely into your activities. If you're dealing with people, you become one with the people. If you're typing an email, you become one with that activity. And you can be looking at how you use your body and breathing in that. When you're driving, if you have a koan, work on the koan. If not, you could practice, for example, chanting, okyo. Or at least throw yourself into the activity of driving. If you use your body and your posture and your breathing in a particular manner, and you use your senses in the way that we use in Zazen, you become one with the car. You can feel the road. It's as if your body is rolling over the road. You might start to experience, it's as if, not that you're moving through space in a car, but everything is still and the world is moving past. You go into the samadhi of the activity of driving. Everything is like this. Any activity you can think of. One person I know who trained under a teacher connected to our lineage was told by him, around here we even shit with kiai. And on another occasion this teacher said that in terms of students who can do Zen training, send me people who know how to use the bathroom. In other words, even something as simple as going to take a shit is showing your condition of your mind, and you're using your body and your energy in a way which is furthering your training or hindering it. I'm sorry, this is an unsuitable subject for some people, but if you go into the bathroom and you slump down with bad posture sitting on the toilet and your mind is spinning, first of all, it's not healthy for you. But that's a place where there's a gap in your awareness and a gap in your energetic intensity. This is, if you're a samurai, you don't shit that way. Because you could be attacked at any moment. The toilet is a place where you assassinate people. There are many instances of that. This is a very serious thing. You're always ready. So when you sit down, you sit in a manner, and you do your business, and then you get up and go. But during that whole time, there's no gap in your clarity and concentration. That's the point. How much toilet paper do you use? With what feeling of, using resources wisely and with gratitude? That part also is there. Toilet paper comes from trees. Trees are living things. You wipe your ass with it. And we had a one session here past year, we had 25 people approximately, something like that. And after session was done, we had to call the plumbers because the main pipe that goes into the septic field was clogged with toilet paper because people were using bunches and bunches of toilet paper. That's what the teacher I mentioned meant when he said, send me people who know how to take a shit. Someone who mindlessly wastes something like that doesn't have the mind of training. So, shit with kiai, eat with kiai energy and awareness and gratitude, sparingly using resources, aware of your surroundings, becoming one with the sandwich. As you eat the sandwich, you're physically becoming one with it, but with your whole body, mind, become one with the activity of the eating. And you start to feel energetically even the connectivity with the source of each ingredient in that thing you're eating. The web of your awareness and connectivity expands beyond your own small, sort of stagnant pool, and you hook into the larger ocean somehow. With that comes an upwelling of energy. The more you bring your awareness, your energy, to the simple activities of eating, shitting, walking, driving. That's the meditation and movement. That's the why even something like gambling or singing a song, like Suzuki Shozan said, if you do it with a full commitment and awareness and energy, it's a superior training to sitting in a dead, stagnant zazen. The former has the possibility to give rise to wisdom. The wisdom which Omori Roshi said is the real point. The latter does not at all. So, great book, please get it. Think deeply about how, first of all, why am I here? Have your own clear answer. What is Zen training, spiritual training, body-mind training for? profound or shallow, your motivation. Start with some clear idea of what that is. When you do the practice, set up some basic schedule in your daily life, okay? Some minimal amount. Start with that. If I tell you you must do 2 hours or you're not serious, which we say sometimes, because he said so, that's where we got it. I know that that's discouraging to many people. So it's okay to say half hour in the morning, half hour in the evening. But if that becomes more, wonderful. And then when you're not sitting, which is the vast majority of the rest of the day, especially if you're only sitting half hour morning and evening, that's now 23 hours left you have of your existence every cycle. Throw yourself into every single activity, even the most mundane, with all of your existence, the same way you breathe the count with all of your might, as if each breath were your last. The same way you hold on to the koan with all of your might, as if dropping it even for a second means you die. We have to have that sense of urgency. Throw yourself into your activities. And it doesn't mean you have to walk around like a crazy person. You don't have to walk around like this. Your activities are normal. Talking with someone, throw yourself into that and become them. Laughing, joking, having a beer, taste it 100%. And attend to, be present with that activity, with all of you. Be there for your life, in other words, with all your energy. That's what I'm trying to sum up for you, is so-called Zen practice in daily life. Okay. That's Omori Roshi's advice. He's a great master, and again, the one who transmitted our lineage to the West, so we're still riding his energy and the energy of his forebears. Hopefully, we'll be able to add some energy of our own to it, but not yet. Cannot equal him. But his advice is quite clear, concise, easy to understand. He lays it out for you in a very explicit way. Wonderful teaching style that we have. Although I never met him, I can see the clear echoes of him in my own teachers who did train with him. And I believe we're carrying that here too, somehow, in some small way. Okay, so I hope this practical advice was useful for you. I want you to, when you leave sesshin, try to put it into practice. And then the difference between sesshin and the so-called normal life will not be so great. When you come back from sesshin, you'll feel like, oh, I'm just arriving home. Or, oh, I know this feeling. I just have to kick it up a little bit, and then I'm in. It won't be such a vast gap.